Hello everyone, welcome to City Skylines Springwood City Unmodded Gameplay episode 24. So far we have been focusing a lot on expansion and zoning and development, but now I want to take a step back from all of that and focus on things which we have not looked upon that much in the previous episodes. One of those things is tourism, which is going to be the main focus of this episode. Now quick note, we just got this update of hubs and transport and I'm really excited about all the things that they have released in this update, and the best part is it is free. We have all these new hubs and all these new roads, which makes a lot of sense, and I'm really excited about using this in our city going forward. Additionally, the quality of life updates that you see here, especially in the roads menu, is really useful because I always struggle with finding the right road. But anyway, back to the main topic at hand. So, tourism. We want to figure out if our city is touristy enough, and once we figure that out, we want to see what we can do to make it more touristy. In a nutshell, a lot of things that we'll be covering in this video will be related to increasing attractiveness of the city, increasing land value, and adding unique buildings, and making our parks more enhanced and leveling them up. And in terms of the benefits, obviously, if we have more tourists, we can get more money, because the more tourists that will get into the city, the more they would spend money on everything our city has to offer, including our shops as well as our tourist places, and even money from them buying transit tickets. So let's start with the first part first. So very first thing that I'll do is go into the budget panel and get over here. So this is the income that we have from tourism right now. It's only 0.48% of all the income that we are gaining, which is not that much. And this is how that 975 is broken down. The next thing which I want to see is the tourism information panel. Now this one has two things, the tourist tab as well as the attractiveness tab. Right now the city attractiveness is 24%, which is obviously not that much. We have this one thing over here, which is a unique building, and that is making it a little bit attractive. And then we have these park facilities that are actually considered quite highly attractive by our tourists. That's why these things are highlighted in this really bright green. In terms of the tourist places that we have in the cities right now, let's close this for a moment. So we obviously have that hypermarket. There are some shops around that which are actually quite good in terms of tourist access, and along with that we have places in the parks like we saw. We have some plazas over here as well that are used by tourists, which is good. And we have this park, and we have a lot of shops here that are used by tourists, which is really good. So our city is decent in terms of attracting tourists and getting them to spend money, but it's not that strong yet. So like I said, that is going to be the focus of this episode. Now, how shall we do this? Well, if you want to attract more tourists, there are three things we need to do. First is to build more touristy places. Second is to increase land value overall. And third is to increase mediums of transportation they can use to get inside the city. And in this episode, we are going to focus on the first two. So starting with the first one, let's start with park areas first. We have two major park areas right now, and I want to check how these areas are doing. These are level 4 and level 3 right now, and increasing one of these to level 5 would increase the touristiness of the city, and the easiest way to do that is to blend both of these into a single park. So let's check which one of these is doing better in comparison. These are the stats for both the parks, and as you can see, Spruce Grounds is doing much better in pretty much everything, including visitors this week, total visitors, entertainment value, as well as attractiveness. The only thing that's lower for Spruce Grounds is the profit margin, which we can easily fix by increasing the ticket price. So I think we should be good. Now let's just merge these two areas. Now we have this area where we are not able to get rid of our original Autumn Grounds park, because we have this park main gate here. One park cannot have two main gates, so we need to get rid of this. And now we can get rid of the Autumn Grounds park, and now that we have this, we can add a side gate to this to fix this problem. And let's also fix this. Oh, and one of the other things that I am really happy they included in this update is parking lots, which we can find over here. We have these three. I think we might be able to fit in one of these over here, which is what we are going to do right now. The thing about this parking lot is it works exactly like a park. It adds leisure value around itself, and this one actually has a pretty large leisure area, so that is something that's really nice, and it looks good as well. It looks pretty realistic, except the fact that the terrain is not really good, but I think we can fix that, hopefully. Yes, we can. Okay, so now people have a place to park their vehicles while they go and visit the park, and since this increases the leisure value around itself, it should also help contribute to the city attractiveness and hence the touristiness of the city. Oh, we've already leveled up this park to level 5. That's actually really nice. We have a new asset which is perfect. So at this point we have a single park area which is level 5. We are making a lot of money now and our price has increased a little bit as well. This will start affecting the attractiveness once we start adding more assets into this park. Right now, as you can see, the attractiveness has reduced in fact, and I think that happens because now we have a larger park area and in comparison to the size we have much less assets, but we'll keep adding more assets as we go forward. For now, I'll move on to the next topic. So while on the topic of parks, as you know, we created a new park in the previous episode. This one is a nature reserve and this one is decent. We just started out, it's level 1, and I'm just going to quickly show you how I have planned this right now. So this is our main gate next to our promenade that is going up in this area. We have 2 other gates. One of them is over here. There's a side gate that takes people from this area onto our park, and then we have the third gate over here. And then these are connected with trails, which are kind of hard to see right now with all this, but these one have trails that go inside this. We have a few attraction sites like this campfire over here, and then that trail comes all over here. There are some connections over here across this electric line, and we have this trail that goes off onto this area. Now, since we are on this topic, we can probably add a few more attractions for people so that they can get into this park and have more things to do. So I'm going to add this campfire site over here, and then I can add another one maybe over here. We're not really gaining that much money from this. We are not even having that many visitors yet, and we are losing money with this. This is something we have just started out, so we can have a look at this later on. Let's see if this affected tourism in any way. The city attractiveness is still where it was, and we have 3 more visitors, which is not that much. Anyway, so this is park areas. After parks, the next thing we want to do is add more unique buildings. Right now we have just added the hypermarket, but we obviously have a lot more unique buildings that we can add into the city. Now we obviously have several different kinds of unique buildings, and thematically and aesthetically not every building is going to fit in every place. So for example, if I'm going to put the stadium right next to our residential area, that might not make sense. But if we have something like a plaza like this, then that makes more sense. Now, one major challenge I have with unique buildings is where and how to place them. I always question if we should make a single tourist district where we have a lot of these clustered together, or we should spread them out across the city so our tourists have different places to go and visit. The advantage of clustering everything in a single place is obviously tourists can come in and kind of experience all of those things together, and we don't really have to figure out a way to get them around the city. But the problem is aesthetically that doesn't look that good, and as you can see, all the touristy areas have a leisure radius around them as well. So if all of them are really close to each other, then we are not really making the most optimal use of these facilities. So the ideal solution that I'm thinking of is maybe having the best of both worlds, where we have a few different clusters which are spread across the city, so it's not just individual buildings, and we're also making sure that when tourists come into the city, they have more than one place to get into in one specific area. Oh, and one of the other things that I think can also help us figure out where is the best place to put different tourist places is this tours panel that we have over here. This shows different places which have a high appeal for adding guided tours for our tourists, and I think this can be something really interesting. So for example, this area is having a very high appeal. That means we can obviously conduct a tour over there, but then they can also connect that tour with these 2 areas and potentially also this area. And if they have a few more spots over here, that might cover up and make that tour a little bit more interesting. So this can actually be a good tool for us to figure out where we can place our buildings. So obviously with this, we have this, that is a very high appeal area. We have these 2, we have these 2. I think we can probably use this area as well, and we can probably also use some way to connect this. But I'll be back to this area in just a little bit. Before this, I want to look at one more area, which is this one. We already have a bunch of tourists that are already visiting these shops, and I think there's a lot of potential here. And this one doesn't really have any unique building around it. So I think we can probably make use of one of the unique buildings we have over here, which is this Grand Mall. So I was thinking we can probably place this over here, but we don't really have space for this. We can probably move around some of these things so we can make some space around it. Let's see how we can do this. Alright, so we finally know how this unique building, the Grand Mall, is looking. It has a good amount of radius around it, and I have added some more interesting elements around it. We have this pathway, I have made this little area with some landscaping, some trees over here as well. I've added this road which did not exist before, and I'm also going to change this road as well. We have this new road with the new update that looks like this. It is a 4-lane road with some more wider sidewalks and trees, which I think looks really nice over here. This one made sense over here because it is a mall, it is where people will go for shopping, and we have a large commercial park right behind that, so it makes a lot of sense to have this two clustered together. I think the other kind of building we can probably add over here is this statue of shopping. I think this might be a good place for that because this would provide a good leisure value for these buildings, and maybe also for these buildings in this corner. And this actually can look really nice as well. We have the same theme going on around it. We have the trees of the same kind. We can also probably work with these pathways to make them more connected. Alright, so I've made some more changes over here. The first one being these pathways and zoning a lot of commercial in this area. The reason being the vicinity to this one. I really want the tourists who get into this to get inside our commercial area, and that provides a good connection to that area in my opinion. And I'm going to add a parking space in this area. This is going to be a little bit extra, but I really like the aesthetic of that, and I think overall this space might shape up to be really nice. We have a good amount of commercial demand as well right now, so this can be really helpful. And I'm totally seeing a lot of people are using this, which is actually really nice. Not that many people over here, but we have a good bunch of people in this area. This might be nice over here so that people can come in and park inside that area rather than on the road. And I'm going to upgrade this road to this new roads, which look really nice by the way. I'm really happy that they've made this update, and that looks good. Yeah, and see, we have a lot of people now who are using these, which is really nice. And look at this, that's the amount of people that we have over here. This makes me really happy. Does this help with our attractiveness? Yes, it is increasing a little bit, not that much, but a little bit. And in terms of attractiveness, tourists definitely find this one attractive. This is decent as well, it's not bad. Alright, let's move on to the next area now. So I have made some changes in this road. This monorail line used to go from here outside the road, but since we need this space, I made those changes. So we have this space, we have these spaces around here. I think this might also be nice to have some kind of touristy attraction in that area. I was looking at the monuments, and I think in the level 2 unique buildings, we have these two. We have the Fountain of Life, which is 240 a week. It has a visitor capacity of 150, and we have this one which has the same capacity, but this one just has a slightly larger radius as compared to this one, which is not that much. The reason why I want to put it here is because we have these pockets of red in both of these areas, and might be nice to have something over here to increase that leisure value. But before we do that, I'm just going to quickly do one thing, which is going to be this one. Let's go back to this friendly neighborhood park, which I think we can add over here. So it's not too noisy for our residents, and it adds a lot of leisure value for everybody else. Actually, I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to define a pedestrian area for all of these actually. This can also be connected up until this point, and extending it here to put a service area. Alright, that is looking good. We can also connect this one from here to here, like so. Alright, that looks good. I think we can also probably add some pathways from this park into this area. That might be nice. We can also probably add, we can probably also add one from this area. Let's do that. That doesn't look too bad. We can have people from this area get to this park really easily. That's really good. We could probably do the same thing for this one as well. We can add a bridge to get people from here to there, but I'm going to have a look at this and see how that goes, because people can definitely come into this bridge and get over here very easily. But we'll see how this goes. So for now, let's see how this affects our attractiveness. It definitely is increased a little bit, which is really nice. We can also make this with trees, so it's good for our residents to kind of get here. We can also add a parking lot over here, a small one rather, should do. Maybe over here, just to make them a little bit more happy. And I'm just going to make some small changes to make this area a little bit more appealing. Also spacing this promenade a little bit further out from the main road to add some more space to add some more touristy buildings. And just fixing the electric line over here. One of the other things I want to do here is add some shops to not only have a place for tourists to go to and shop and spend money while they are visiting the park, but also to provide some more mixed-use zoning for our residents. Kind of echoing back to some things that we discussed a couple of episodes back regarding this. We don't have that many shops in this area. We have some on the main road over here, but none over here. So this can provide some in a closer vicinity for them. And while I'm at this, I can probably also add some more homes here, because at this point we have a good amount of residential demand as well. And that looks good. So I think this is a good time to move on to another area to add more unique buildings. So at this point, I'm going to check the guided tours thing over here once again. As you can see, this promenade is automatically a good attraction for them with high appeal. So we can totally make use of that and add more things in that area and kind of also connect it with this area in the future. So I'm thinking we can probably add one more building over here. We already have this friendly neighborhood park and then we have the hypermarket. So we probably need something over here that can balance out both of these. So I'm thinking for this one, we can probably add one of these kind of things that do not have that much upkeep, and those are cheaper to make. The other option is going with something like this one, which has a good amount of coverage around it, and it ties in with the theme of our gardens and parks a little bit better in this area. It is expensive to build, but I think that should be fine considering the returns we can expect from this. So I'm going to go ahead with this and see how this goes. Of course, the terrain is completely butchered, which I'm going to fix later on. But for now, let me just resume the game and see how this is affecting tourism and attractiveness. Attractiveness is increasing really slowly, but I don't know if there's any solution right now that makes it quicker. These are definitely attractive locations for our tourists, and along with that, this will definitely add some more appeal in this area for our tours. So that's actually perfect. Let me just pause the game for a bit, and I'm going to fix the terrain situation in this and see you guys in just a moment. Alright, so this doesn't look too bad. We have zoned some shops around this so people can spend some money while they are visiting. I think this is going to be a recurring theme in all the tourist buildings that we'll be building in the future. We have a lot of people here waiting, and this has a good amount of tourists coming in, so that's really nice. Alright, so let's review how we are doing in terms of attractiveness. We are still at 29. How are we doing with this one? We have 55 tourists, so that's really good. With the park we had 32, and with this one we have 79. And what about the income from the tourists? This has increased a little bit, but obviously it's not that significant, so we'll need to make more efforts in this direction. Overall, in terms of leisure, we are actually not doing that bad. We still have a lot of red areas over here, which we'll be trying to fix as much as possible. Now I'm going to do a quick check for land value. I think I saw an issue somewhere over here. There were some buildings here complaining about low land value. This district has become the benchmark of land value, and I think that's probably because of the pedestrian area over there. Same thing is happening over here because we have a pedestrian area. Same thing with this one. So I think there is definitely some balancing issue with this mechanic, because this way I can pretty much just make everything into pedestrian areas and cheese this system. But regardless of that, I think we have some good land value happening over here because this used to be a park. Same thing is happening over here, but this is really slow. Everything else is kind of in between, so we'll need to look at that for sure. One of the issues is going to be this one, because this is in a medium situation and we definitely need higher land value for attracting more tourists and letting them spend more money. Overall, we have made some good progress so far. We'll keep adding more touristy places in the city for our tourists to visit, but the next thing I want to focus on is the mediums of transport that they can use to enter the city. But we'll do that in the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and join our Instagram channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.